all kinds of stuff like in the middle of it, and I'm just like, I mean, it still came out hot, but I mean that was years ago, so
But
my ears a lot more trained now.
There we go, and that's what I'm saying. Like, at that point, my ears were not trained at all. Like, I started out and I knew for a fact that I can hear music a certain way. I listen to all kinds of songs and all kinds of genres. It didn't mean shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, literally. It helped a little bit, but it didn't mean anything. Like, because, if you didn't have those technical understandings of how the engineer or what wavelength the engineer was on, he's either going to fuck up your track or you're going to fuck up your track.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I was just grateful to have worked with somebody who was, like, around the block at least more than a few times before that. Like, and I had people in my corner at the time who were just helpful and just guided me the right way. So I can't really even take full, like, credit for teaching myself initially. I had to learn through a lot of trial and error because I made a lot of mistakes. And, I'm going to make more one day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I know for a fact, had those mistakes not had been what they were, I wouldn't be at the point I'm at right now. And I wouldn't have been able to make this project. I wouldn't have been able to make the project before that and before that. Or just even make music in general.
Right.
So some people, but people underestimate it. There are people out here who quit. Like, you know what I mean? You gotta give it up to the people who even continue. Like, you know what I mean? And stay creative. Like, and, that's how I look at it now.
Yeah, I saw this thing on, I think it was YouTube, and it was just like, the rappers that don't get on. Dude was like 45, still like an aspiring rapper.
Yo, did you see like that video of, I think we're talking about the same one, I'm not sure. The dude is like the mumble rapper or whatever, and he has like the fitted and the chains and whatnot. That's like every rapper I just fucking
yeah,
it's
so, like, pretty vague.
Yeah, like I don't know, it's on Instagram though. Like he's like rapping or whatever, and he has the teeth missing, he's like yeah, like shit like that. Like it's funny, but in a way it's not. Like it's just like it's kind of like they make a mockery of the whole thing. But I give it up to people who can still express themselves and find methods of expression. Like all this is like the people who do it seriously, they get to where they have to be. They're in the right places in the right times, and they record the right songs and make the right features, whichever. But like majority of the time, I just linked up with people and made music because we were hanging out. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't really see it as anything else except that. It was that natural and that organic for me. Like, I never really had anything else. Otherwise I was writing with myself. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you this story. This kind of was the inspiration from like way back when to the other show I got now on Sunio Westbury with the LIT thing.
Congratulations on that again.
Yeah, it was like had to be like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I just randomly go over to the studio. I was meeting up with a Superficial actually to tell him about my project for I think to get some beats or something like that. And it was me, my boy Kev, I think Todd Chiba was there. I think at that time I think his name was Todd Chad, I think. And Carmen was there also. And I think, Todd Chiba had found a beat, and we just made a song like that night. It wasn't like something like, oh, I'm coming over to make music. It just happened like organically. And I was like, I want to like really have like everybody get together, like everybody in Long Island, come up together and like, and we gonna call it LIT. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's before people were saying lit again. I mean, people have been saying lit since Lucchini, but
or literature, all those things.
Yeah. But it was just something that I wanted people to do because there hasn't really been like a strong push for like Long Island artists since, I guess maybe the 90s. I mean.
Since ever?
Yeah. I mean, now we had De La Soul. We had people that kind of didn't fully claim like Long Island, like like Method Man from Hempstead. I think he shouted out Hempstead once.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like like De La Soul's like theme wasn't the fact that they was from Long Island though. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think that was like their push. Like people, people didn't like De La Soul because they were from Long Island. I mean, I suppose that's like another good part to it.
Yeah.
But like I didn't know De La Soul was from Long Island until I was of age. Like, what I mean? I was able to understand all that stuff. But I knew their songs. Like I knew the lyrics or whatever. But what I mean? Rakim, like
from Wine Dance
too. Like rest in peace to him and just all those people like from out here, EPMD, like
and
we don't ever speak about how they're from Long Island. Like, what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It's like a separation. Anytime we speak about Long Island, there has to be some kind of distinction or separation of the parts of Long Island.
But it wasn't always like that, though. They used to shout out Long Island in 90s rap, and then I forgot what. There was something happened, and it just stopped abruptly.
I guarantee you it has something to do with drugs.
Possibly, or I remember the people started calling it Strong Island. I was just like, that sounds mad corny.
That was like a gang or something like that.
You from Strong Island?
It was like a strong Island boy or something like that. I could have swore that was like their name, but I could be wrong. Regardless of that, man, there's like no unity really for Long Island artists from what I noticed, because we got some people don't even know Long Island exists. Like, keep it thorough. They know certain places in Long Island, and they just try to like separate that from the island. Like that's what bothers me sometimes. Like even foreigners. Like, I was talking to these ladies from like South Africa last night, right? Mm-hmm. And they had no clue what the East End was or whatever, but that's reasonable considering they're not from here. Yeah. But even them, they were able to know, Nassau, like, Suffolk, and that was the distinction. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've been to I used to go out to school in Virginia. When people, whenever you're in the South, I'm not sure if it's like that now. It might be. But, you just say you're from New York and it just automatically assume NYC. And that can usually work in your favor. But, I said, like, Long Island, and it just automatically thought the Hamptons, like, oh, so you a rich nigga. I'm like, I mean, you use it to your leverage. But, I mean, there's also been times I was at a diner at, it was Memorial Day weekend in Miami. So, it was just, it was Thought Central. And I'm at IHOP, and there was a girl in the booth behind me, and me and my cousin was talking, and we had mentioned me being from New York or whatever, and I felt her turn around, and then I said where I was from, and then she turned right back around.
Yeah, the people have their stereotypes. That's what I noticed. They definitely have their stereotypes. But you know what? That could be from a number of other things. It could be ourselves as a nation, like, or it could just be a New York thing. But like, there's a hood anywhere. Just
there is.
And for every suburbs you have, I guarantee you have double the hoods. Like,
I mean, I've been in the Bronx. Don't ask why, but I was in the Bronx, and people like, yo, don't sleep on Long Island. It's not soft, whatever.
Nah, I think that's the problem though.
Yeah,
like, majority of people, they always have that idea, like. And this is why it's weird. Yeah. People in New York City, they always look at Long Island as soft and shit. Mm-hmm. And then, like, we look at people in the city as, like, just rowdy and fast paced. And everything out there is always going on. Yeah. But there's some soft spots in the city. Like, you go to some parts and there's not none of that. Like, you know what I mean? But
if y'all was hard, why you getting gentrified?
Yeah. Hey, though, Harlem's gentrified. The Bronx is gentrified.
What's it called? Suba now? Suba?
What?
They're trying to rename Harlem.
They try to call it Soha.
Soha.
Hilarious, right? Like,
yeah.
But you know what?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, like that's like it's funny. It's just really funny because ultimately, we're always gonna call Harlem. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like over here, like in Long Island, like when Quick Stop changed his name like 8 times, you still call it Quick Stop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's all it is to it. So
Snoop Dogg was never Snoop Lion.
Yeah, he wasn't always Snoop Lion. I never called him Snoop Lion a day in my life. But hey, like, regardless of that, he's still gonna be Snoopy D-O-double-G or Snoop Doggy Dog.
Right.
When you got Caucasian people walking up to you saying Snoop Doggy Dog, Snoop Lion don't exist. But I can respect that.
Yeah. But back to the engineer relationship. That's very important because a lot of times people, especially just rap artists, there needs to be a level of vulnerability, a level of comfortability. Like, sometimes people want to, like, really be animated or do whatever. And, I mean, rappers, or just niggas in general, they can't feel like they can be goofy around certain people. Like,
in essence of what?
Like, let's say, like, for example, let's look at Busta Rhymes. Can you imagine him just, like, doing all that stuff he does? Like him, matter of fact, him doing woo-ha.
Yeah, that's
around somebody like an engineer that doesn't really like, that was like, you didn't feel comfortable around.
Yeah. Like, I could picture him doing that. That's the thing, like, that's why I'm trying to understand, like, how. Because, like, it's like a matter of, I feel like that's a character. That's a character trait. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you feed off that energy in the studio, though. You know what I'm saying?
Perhaps. I mean, there's still some people who could require that, but I would say he could probably do that when he's recording. Busta Rhymes probably records himself. I don't know. Like, maybe he doesn't always require an engineer, and maybe he has his moments where he just wants to record himself, and he can probably do that. Like, he don't even need to feed off no one else's energy, and really, he just fucking finds a way to channel it. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's a character trait. Like, he probably just has so many characters. Like, what I notice about him is, like, he always had, like, this unanimous, like, ability to just express whatever emotion he had in the song. Like, you know what I mean? And you see it visually in his videos. That's why his videos are always, like, top-notch and just, like, fuego. But, like, I always liked that he had the eccentricity,
right?
You know, to go along with it. Because I mean, you could play the part or whatever, but if it seems a little bit deceiving, people probably won't gravitate to it. So I feel like Busta Rhymes, he has that down to a science. Like, he knows how well he works under those premises, and then he makes sure that he follows through and delivers properly. Because, you know, he also acts, you know, like, so.
Yeah, and he also I think Jadakiss pointed this out on a Tax Tone podcast. Like, next to LL, he's been in there like a minute. He's been able to like reinvent himself constantly and stay relevant.
Yeah, that is true, and that's like important, if you ask me.
Yeah,
that's beyond important. That's probably like one of the best things you can do for yourself. Like,
facts only.
Forget like your career right now. Like, yourself. Like, you reinvent yourself so many times, I can guarantee you'll find something new about yourself. Like,
yeah,
that's how I would look at it anytime I was trying to find some change in my life. And it's like, you know, how many ways could you reinvent yourself? Yeah,
I actually saw this cipher with Busta Rhymes, an old dirty bastard. Old dirty bastard ate that nigga.
Hey, old dirty bastard. He was also another person who was like a character. Like, you know? So he could spit though. Like, you know,
like he ate that nigga alive.
You know, woos for the children. You know, he was just a person who spoke his mind too. Like, you know what I mean? So of course that reflects in his freestyles and reflects in like battling or whatever it is. Like, you know. All that, in my opinion, plays a huge role in it.
No doubt. So, another thing, when it comes to the process. So, did you record in like one studio? Did you record in multiple studios?
I recorded in multiple studios, but the primary studio, like, is like the one we're in now. Like, you know, like my space, and it was a reason for that. I never get to create in like my own kind of space or whatever to where I feel comfortable enough. And like, I went through like so many different like stages. I went from like the makeshift studio stand over there that I created over there, and to like getting an actual speaker stand to finish it. Like, you know, it was a reason for all that stuff. I was like, I wanted to like build from the ground up, and I feel like there was no way to do that unless I did so literally. Like, you know, so. You know, everything I did, there was a reason for it. Like, you know, sometimes I would just stop mid-studio session and be able to go outside of my property and just smoke bud and just kick it.
Right.
Whereas, like, you know, I'm in a studio, I'm probably on the clock, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of that leniency. And, you know, after a while, I got comfortable with this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This allows me to grow. This allows me to be able to develop whatever it is I'm looking to do with music.
Right.
Where I didn't have that freedom before. That I wasn't this elusive. And the majority of the time, that liberation just didn't sit well with me in the studio session because you're racing the clock, which is why I got to be so quick, I guess, with like whatever it is I'm doing, like as far as like the music concerns, because I was always trying to penny pinch like and shit, like, you know, but you're a kid like going to studios, you don't know jack shit about studios, you're gonna be like watching the hour, like, you know what I mean, like every single hour you're like, damn, you can't waste time in one take, so it's good to practice.
Yeah, that's also why it's also good to have a dope engineer that, you know, may, you know, give you some wiggle room or whatever, or at least have some sort of understanding set up. Certain people, like, I've had engineers, they'll be like, yeah, so I'll charge you for the recording, and then, like, I'll mix, you know, whenever, like, after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, I've had situations like that. I've had, you know, ones that have, like, they charge you for the mix. So, I mean, it all depends on, your engineer is basically like, you know, like in the old school days where, like, you know, it was just like a rapper and a DJ, and your DJ was like the most important thing. Like, right now it's your engineer.
Yep, I agree. No more. I mean.